Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English summary, a gist and a translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamaruzzaman Sahib Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Thursday, the 23rd of Muharram 1443, corresponding with the English date 2nd of September 2021. This Majlis took place after the Ishraaq Salat at the residence Baytul Azkar of Hazrat Wala Damat Barakatuhum. Hazrat Wala Damat Barakatum says that yesterday I quoted to you one mithal, an example of the nafs. The islah and the reformation of the nafs is important, and to bring it under control, it's important. We spoke about the young horse. For that to be trained is necessary. Otherwise, that horse, which is so valuable, between that horse and a donkey, there would be no difference whatsoever. So this is what we need to learn and listen about. And that person who did not even listen about this year, how would he have fikr for his islah of his nafs when he doesn't even know what it is about? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى, indeed has achieved success, the one who has purified. What Allah Ta'ala is saying, there is no doubt in it. And this particular ayat, it's not mansukh, it's not abrogated or cancelled. Rather, it is from amongst the objectives that a Nabi is commissioned for. And before this year, you were in deviation. Only tilawat and recitation is not sufficient. However, together with that, ta'aleem is very, very important. A person on the one hand can carry out 10 khatams of the Quran. That's something else. Yes, he would be rewarded for it. But islah is something else, and recitation and the reward, that's something else. So long as a person does not make an intention for islah and reformation, he would not reach there and he would not be able to tread this path. Allah Ta'ala give us all the tawfiq and the hidayat of having a firm intention and niyat of islah. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم. So the Nabi came, and the Nabi came for islah. The muzakki it's completely separate, and the muzakka is completely separate. And from this also we learn about the benefit and the privilege, the fazilat, the virtue of suhbah, companionship. Now Allah Ta'ala has suspended falah and success upon purification of the soul. But by and large, alas, today, there's complete and total indifference and negligence towards this. You people don't understand. I even haven't understood, Hazrat Wala Damat Barakatum is saying. And he quotes the Malfuz of Hazrat Imam Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala, who says, in this day and age, people come, these young men, the youth, they would come to the khankas, they would come and stay, they would eat and drink, but they can't even understand and differentiate between coal and kajur. They can't differentiate between the two. Anything black that they see, they would say it is kajur, even though it may be coal. खूने दिल पीने को, लखते जिगर खाने को, ये ग़िज़ा मिलती जाना तेरी दीवाने को. You have to make an effort, a sacrifice. You have to undergo difficulty, and then something would be achieved. You will have to stay away from futile activities, etc. Now today we go on to speak about the second example. Allama ibn Qayyim rahimahullah speaks about the second example, that the nafs is a huge mountain. And to walk this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this road, it is difficult. And for every person who wants to walk, he has to pass through this mountain and go over this mountain to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For some, it is easy, and for some, it is difficult. It is easy, definitely, for the one for whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy. The dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hazrat Wala Damat Barakatum is saying that Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab specifically taught me this dua. Ask Allah for this. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-yusr wal-mu'afat fi dunya wal-akhirah. Oh Allah, I ask you for ease and afiyat in this dunya and in the akhirah. I've written so many letters to Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, and he made dua. Whenever he answered those letters, he used to write, I am making dua for you for this. I am making dua for you for this. How many of us even make dua for afiyat? Do we even know what's the meaning of afiyat? Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab's style was this. He would ask senior people like Maulana Abdul Halim that, well, what's the meaning of afiyat? Do you even know what's the meaning of afiyat? Let me tell you what's the meaning of afiyat. Afiyat means to get rizq without difficulty, to breathe easily, meaning excellence in health, and ikhlas. Today we can see with the pandemic and COVID, etc., that people are struggling to breathe. And here, the translation or what's mentioned in the kitabs is saas asani se, bila mashakkat, to breathe easily. So a person wants rizq and rozi, and if it comes without difficulty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can even give us and sustain us spiritually according to our talab. According to our talab. Hazrat Maulana Yaqub Sahab, rahimahullah, the Sadr Mudarris, most chief Mudarris in Darul Uloom Deoband, he used to say that if a person also is blessed with 1,000 years, and in that time he makes mujahada and he undergoes difficulty in this path to Allah, this path is so difficult, how would he even reach there? But of course, he mentions and he concludes on this note that except for the one whom Allah Ta'ala makes it easy for, that person it would be easy for him. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-yusr wal-mu'afat. Oh Allah, I ask you for ease and afiyat. You know, when we look at these talks and these articles of Allama Ibn Qayyim and Allama Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, Allama Ibn Qayyim, Hazrat Tanvi rahimahullah ta'ala says that we understand from his works that this person, an individual, has passed the stages of suluk one by one, one by one. Allahumma inni as'aluka at-tawfiq limahabbika min al-a'mal wa sidqa at-tawakkuli alayk wa husna az-zanni bik. When Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab passed away, Hakim Ifhamullah wept bitterly. And he cried and he said, who will teach us these du'as? And the dua that he mentioned was this particular dua, which Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to teach us so often. Oh Allah, I ask you for tawfiq, inspiration, hidayat to do those a'mal which are most beloved to you. وَصِدْقَ التَّوَكُّلِ عَلَيْكَ, and pure trust in you, true trust in you. وَحُسْنَ الظَّنِّ بِكَ, and that I have good thoughts about you. I entertain good thoughts about you. Hazrat Shah Anwar rahimahullah used to say about Allama Ibn Qayyim that his status and his maqam is so high, that if I actually go to see the point where he actually reached, it is so high that it would cause my topi to fall. Meaning, absolute excellence he had reached, such high stages in his ulum and in his piety. And what are we discussing here? It is the talks of Allama Ibn Taymiyyah and Allama Ibn Qayyim. Let me tell you, their kitabs are so much that it has filled up the Kutub Khana and the library of Islam. On one occasion, Hazrat Wala goes on to say that I went to Tankaria to do the iftitah of the madrasa there, and on that occasion this Arab alim comes about. I was asked to do the opening, and taking him into consideration, I related the talks of Ibn Qayyim and Ibn Taymiyyah, all their talks, their mawa'iz, their malfuzat, etc. And then I'll tell you actually what I said is that I quoted the waqia where people used to lay complaints against Allama Ibn Taymiyyah, due to which he was imprisoned. People would come to him and say that, Hazrat, why don't you also complain about them? Listen to his answer. Unjustly, he's put into jail, but listen to his answer. He says, then what would be the difference between me and them? Allama Ibn Qayyim, the student, actually goes to jail to accompany his teacher and make his khidmat. And then I also said that Allama Ibn Taymiyyah, after the Fajr Salat, he used to engage in his awrad, in his wazaif, in dhikrullah, until the time of Ishraaq Salat, and then he would perform the Ishraaq Salat. And then he would say that this is my breakfast. The day that I leave this out, I find weakness within myself. From this year, I establish and prove that he was a Sufi, because Sufiyat and the Khankahiyat, Sufism and the Khanka concept, what is it about? It is about kathrat dhikr and husn khulq, abundant remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and good character. And in both these aspects, he had reached the highest stages. That example of the prison tells you about his character. And sitting after the Fajr Salat every day, engaging in dhikr, tells you about the abundant dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he carried out. He would say that what can I do about the enemy? What can I do if they take me and they throw me out of my native land? Then I will practice on the ayat of the Quran, Siru fil ard, travel through the land, travel through this earth of Allah. And if they have to put me in jail, then I would make amal on khalwat and solitude. And if they have to kill me, then I would be blessed with shahadat. More than that, what can I do and what can I say? After I gave this talk, he praised so tremendously, he became so elated, he was so happy and overjoyed about this year, and he said that you must come to Delhi to meet me. And more than that, I want to arrange programs for you in Makkah Mukarramah, Medina Munawwara, and in Jeddah as well. All shukr to Allah. In fact, by saying these type of things, I even fear. But I say it sometimes, you people would also become happy. So a person is on this mountain, we carry on to read from the kitab. On this particular mountain, there are trenches, there are thorny bushes, there are thorny trees, there are bushy patches of grass, and so many difficulties. Then there are those thieves who come and loot the traveler, and especially those who travel at night. However, when he has the weapons of Iman, the lantern of Yaqeen, the paraffin and oil of humility, then everything becomes bright for him. And the path is open for him. And these qualities actually make a barrier between him and these obstacles. Most of the people who travel this path and go onto this mountain that we're speaking about to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the example of the nafs that they are speaking about, they return. They cannot manage. They become helpless. Shaitan screams from the top of the mountain, and he speaks and he threatens and he makes a person despondent. Therefore, a person who's going and traversing this path, treading this path, he has the difficulties of the path and he has the difficulties of the shaitan himself, who is trying to threaten him and make him scared on this path. due to which weakness comes in the resolve of the person who's traveling this path. And what does he do? He throws the towel in and then he returns. Only that person is saved whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves. So nevertheless, he continues going and shaitan threatens from that side. However, despite all of this, he continues until he reaches the top. And then when he reaches the top, he sees that all these fearful things change into peace and everything becomes easy for him. The obstacles of the path are removed and the path becomes peaceful and it is open for him, due to which he can reach his desired destination. And there are steps then, there are footprints, there are signs for him to go. And those signs have been prepared for the caravans of those who are seeking Allah. And then lastly, the author then concludes on this point and he says, فَبَيْنَ الْعَبْدِ وَبَيْنَ السَّعَادَةِ, between the slave and success, between the servant of Allah and success, what is there? قُوَّةُ عَزِيمَةِ, the strength of resolve and firm intention. وَصَبْرُ سَاعَةِ, and patience for a while. وَشُجَاعَةُ نَفْسِ, and courage and bravery. وَثَبَاتُ قَلْبِ, and firmness of the heart. وَالْفَضْلُ بِيَدِ اللَّهِ, however, grace and the bounty is in the hand. It is in the hand and in the possession of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is in His qabza, it is in His possession. يُؤْتِيهِ مَن يَشَاءُ, He gives it to whomsoever He wishes. وَاللَّهُ ذُو الْفَضْلِ الْعَظِيمِ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner of the great bounty. By giving this particular example, he has opened up the reality and the condition of the nafs. Therefore, a person has to be, there's a need for a person to be very vigilant over this nafs. And he has to treat this nafs, correct it and rectify this nafs. Then, after that, if he makes mujahada and he strives according to what has been shown in the Sharia, yes, I'm just correcting that. And if he does not make mujahada, if he does not strive, if he is not careful and vigilant about this nafs, and he did not make sabr, that he has to exercise over the difficulties when he's going through all of this with the nafs, then what would happen? That this nafs would go, become out of control, and he would become destroyed. He would destroy himself in all of this. Therefore, we need to be sincere in all of this. Dar iradat ba sadiq e Farid. O Farid, in this path, you have to be truthful and sincere. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create fikr and concern in ourselves for us to reform our nafs. Hazrat Maulana Abdul Majid Allahabadi rahimahullah, on one occasion, he said to Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab that Hazrat, regarding his magazine, regarding his risala that he used to take out monthly or maybe quarter yearly, he said that Hazrat, the purchases of sidq has become very less, meaning very few people are purchasing this magazine these days. Now he's referring to his magazine, which he prepares. But look at the answer that comes. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab says that this was always less. You saying that it's less now regarding your magazine, but the people of Sidq were always less. Allah Ta'ala is saying, Kunu ma'as sadiqeen, stay in the company of Sidq and the pious people. But the searches of this year are very few. Let us make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma aati nafsi taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. Oh Allah, you rectify us, you make our islah. Oh Allah, take us out of nafs ammara and remove us and take us out of nafs lawama and put us, let us come into nafs mutma'inna. Oh Allah, bless us with your proximity. Oh Allah, bless us and all our progeny and all the Muslimin with all type of afiyat. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.